Hi everyone, this is ABC10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods, and as you can see behind me, look at some of the smoke coming from the campfire. That was from our own Giacomo Luca, who has been on the scene all day today. We have a steady stream of reporters that have been coming back and forth just getting the latest information, but obviously this was a huge wind-driven fire, spreading at almost 80 acres a minute because of how gusty those winds were, peaking at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. So this fire spread fast. What's happening next? Well, we've got a lot to go over here, and I wanted to get you up to speed on some of the weather conditions that are even changing at this hour. We're seeing some of those winds starting to back off. Does that mean that we're actually not going to see the red flag warning in effect anymore? No. That's part of the equation. The other part is the humidity. So I want to cover that as well, and what we're looking at right now. Overnight humidity recovery is critical for us to start to come out of that higher fire danger. Okay, so let's turn things around now, and we'll get to some of my weather graphics here. Again, red flag warning continues in effect for much of the valley. Here we are, the red flag warning right now until tomorrow morning. Wind gusts still potentially 40 to 45 miles per hour throughout this area that you see shaded in red. What have we seen so far? Well, we have seen peak wind gusts up to about 52 miles per hour. The good news here is that we've got calmer winds in Chico right now, and then for Oroville, they're down to about 7 miles per hour. I think what's so stunning, though, about some of these pictures is this is a look at our radar. And as you can see right here, this is actually radar returns, which typically would pick up rain droplets. There is so much thick smoke in the area, it's actually picking up particulate matter, what's coming out of that fire, all the ash and debris. That's what that Doppler radar is picking up. Now we take a look at our satellite image, which again is picking up the pattern of smoke. What you're going to first see is a very defined plume of smoke heading off to the coast here, and then it just fills in throughout the valley as we head throughout the afternoon. So that is some of that smoke that we were seeing. Folks, this smoke was spreading some 90 plus miles for today because of how much smoke there was in the air. Again, pretty dramatic scene here for much of the area, given that we had so many people trying to evacuate so quickly. Some of the thickest concentrations of smoke. Now you can see Sacramento here in the orange, so kind of the orange, the red, the purple, that's gonna indicate those higher concentrations. Fairfield, Stockton, Concord, and then over towards the Bay Area, that's where we were really seeing a lot of that thick smoke that was in and around the area. Okay, so next let's go to some of those peak gusts throughout the valley that we were seeing, and they were anywhere from about 30 to 40 miles per hour. The other component of this is going to be the humidity. Now I want to show you a graphic right now that I think really illustrates how dry that air became with those northwest winds. Any of this orange here, that indicates dry air, where you might see some of the white over here on the coast. That's indicating some of that moisture, but here in the valley, we've got a lot of dry air over us, okay? Let's see here. Hey, Elena, did you share that for me? Awesome, thank you. I was just checking in with our web crew to make sure that we address as many questions as you may have. Oh, Scott wanted to know any updates on evacuation centers. Can't locate family members in Magalia. So here's the deal, Scott. I'll address this real quickly here for you. What we've heard is that many of the one Chico evacuation center that was open filled up. They opened up a second one. The Oroville ones weren't quite as full, but the reason being is that people couldn't access them because of the detours that they were having on their evacuation route. Okay, so I would first check with the Chico Evacuation Center, and those centers are listed on ABC10.com. If you don't have success there, again, they have opened up a second evacuation center. So the church already filled up. Second evacuation center is open in Chico, and there are other evacuation centers open. It's just that people had a hard time accessing them because of the evacuation route. There is some incredible video that is not only on my Facebook page, but also on the ABC10.com page and the ABC10 Facebook page, just showing how crazy it was to get out of there. It was frightening with flames just coming in around them. So it was very hard for people to even get out and get to those evacuation centers. They were just trying to see. It literally became nightfall at about noon today when the smoke became so thick, it was hard to even see where they were going. That's how frantic people were just trying to get out of there. So Scott, I hope that answered your question for you. Okay, so one of the things that we're going to look at for tonight is humidity. It's still at about 18 to 40%. We really need that to come up much more. Part of the fire behavior that will happen for tonight is we initially are going to see winds that were through the day, those upslope winds, okay? So we tend to have the lowest humidities during the late afternoon, strongest upslope winds and the highest temperatures. Now as we head to the overnight hours, this is when firefighters can really get the upper hand on many fires because we see those winds turn downslope and the smoke tends to fill in right into those canyons and the lowest elevations into the valley. That's where we're going to see some of those thickest smoke concentrations coming in. Again, I'm just going back to these questions here. Elizabeth's just wanting, more rain in the forecast, but that's a tough one right now. Okay, the other part of this, and I want to show you this map. This looks very crazy, and oh, what are those? All the fires? No, this is the High Fire Threat District map. It was developed earlier this year after the devastating Tubbs fires, which really became a wind-driven fire so quickly in the overnight hours. Very few people could escape because it moved so quickly. So PG&E worked with different state agencies to develop areas that had the highest risk of fire. That's where that campfire is right now. Look at the area that is surrounded by high fire danger. So when we had the development of these northwest winds, any spark they knew would spread that fire quickly. Again, that is just one of the newest developments that we continue to build on the knowledge of knowing that wildfire risk is continuing to migrate northward. And so many more areas will be having to deal with the potential for quick evacuations when we have those red flag warnings go into effect. Winds right now are starting to back off considerably from what we were seeing earlier today. They're still out of that direction, north to northwest. What that means is they're heading from the north and the west. So it's still pulling in some of that smoke that's coming in just up to the north of Oroville. We're still picking up just a little bit of smoke coming in here, but most of that is kind of settling right into closer to the west side of the valley and over towards the Bay Area. So a lot of people, now somebody's saying that Chico is starting to evacuate. I don't know that I've heard that Chico is starting to evacuate. Let me check on that. Hey Matthew, have you heard of Chico starting to evacuate? Somebody?
Chico is not evacuating.
Okay, so just
they did evacuations.
Okay.
And it's up to Chico city limits, but they specifically said the city of Chico is not.
Okay. So clarification here, Abraham, that the city of Chico is not under evacuations. However, they are putting new evacuations in place, and so it's right up to near Chico. So those new evacuations have just been issued. We have an update on ABC10.com. We're continuing to update this. Again, this is a developing situation for folks that are trying to just get out of harm's way and get out of the path of this fire, which could, by the way, it could become a historic fire. I'm trying to get some clarification on if this is the fastest spreading wildfire in history, given the speed at which it grew from nothing at 6:30 this morning to, by noontime, close to 10,000 acres, and shortly after that grew to 18,000 acres. That is a fast-moving wildfire. One of the fastest in our area ever, the Valley Fire, and then also the Tubbs Fire. So in terms of acreage, That's something that I'm checking on, if this will go down as the fastest spreading wildfire in U.S. history. It's not something that we want to go down in history for, but it just shows you how quick this spread and how fast people had to move to get out of the path of this fire. We've heard from people that just decided to stay. They said, it's just too difficult to get out of here, so I'm just going to stay. I can't imagine that those people made it out, because this just went too quickly. Nicole wondering, what's the cause of the fire? We don't know that yet. What spread it? The winds. Now, it initially was a possibly plume-dominated fire, but then it became a crowning fire. Now, let me explain what that is. A crowning fire means that it's going on the crown. It's going at the top of the trees, because it's moving that fast that it's at the top. It didn't even have time to burn down. So for firefighters, that's a tough attack, to get to the very top, the canopy of the brush that was burning. And they were also fighting spot fires, because the winds would just take one of those embers and blow it so far that it was hard to have that many people that could attack this fire. Numerous agencies responding throughout the state. However, we also have a large fire burning in Southern California. So now those resources are spreading thin. This time of year, it's a dangerous situation. There's just so much fuel to burn. Everything is so dry. That's why I wanted to focus on humidity and also wind, because without that humidity, we really just don't have anything to keep that moisture in so much of the area that you see it. You drive around, everything is browned out. That's just perfect fuel. Even the rain that we got only provided a 1 hour fuel, meaning that fuel stayed wet for about 1 hour on average. It just hasn't been enough. So these types of situations are what causes catastrophic fires this time of year, and we've seen it time and time again. So again, following the Camp Fire as well as the fire down in Southern California that is burning very quickly. Seeing a lot of you putting the emojis, prayers. I mean, that's all we can do right now, is to try to get the information out there for people to stay safe, and hope that everything is at least settling down for them, that they were able to get to those evacuation centers and regroup, pause for a minute, and then see what the next step is. Amber saying Vacaville ash and smoke was awful today. So we also had a smaller fire in Solano County, which, by the way, is contained, but another fast-moving fire. They did get containment on that one. Jessica wanting to know about any containment. We don't have that information yet. Tonight, again, tonight is when they have the best chance of getting the upper hand on this. Let me show you why. Again, for those of you that are just joining, I'm going to show you this graphic here that winds are starting to back off. But the biggest thing is that we, during the day, have these upslope winds and the highest temperatures and the lowest humidity. So fighting any fires is extremely difficult. Okay, now let's go to the overnight conditions. Again, this is what's typical for fire behavior. The winds start to turn downslope. Okay, so the firefighters can get a better upper hand on these fires. An inversion develops, so that smoke tends to settle into the valley and humidities tend to come up. Humidity won't come up terribly for tonight. It's going to stay a little bit on the lower side. That's why we still have our red flag warning in effect throughout tonight and into early tomorrow morning. And what that basically means, I'm not expecting rapid fire spread for anything new that's breaking out, but it's just indicating that we still have very low humidity and winds that are strong enough that are going to be a problem if there were a fire to break out. Amber saying Chico State canceled classes for tomorrow. Let me get an update on that. Hold on. Hey, Matthew. Sorry, another question. Did Chico State cancel classes tomorrow? Okay, we're looking that one up. Thank you.
Everyone in Butte County, all classes.
Okay.
I don't think that applies to the university.
Okay, so we're going to check on that, Amber. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a great one to ask here.
It's closed.
It is. Okay, so Chico State is canceled for tomorrow. All schools in Butte County are canceled for tomorrow. That does include Chico State. Again, Amber, thank you very much for posing that question so that we could answer that. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, Amber saying that she received an email. Okay, what I'm showing you right now, again, I just want you to see how thick this smoke is here in the valley. Where the fire's burning right here, so just off to the east of Chico, north of Oroville. And this also gives us kind of the direction of where that smoke is blowing. This is our radar, normally picks up rain. So you might be looking at this thinking, wait a minute. In fact, we even have light rain, heavy rain, kind of the key right there. This is how thick that smoke is. And all the ash, the particulate matter that's coming out of that fire is so thick that our radar is picking that up as if it were rain droplets, okay? So that's all the pattern. Right now it's heading into Williams along I-5. Heard from somebody that's traveling on I-5. They said, yeah, we're going right into the smoke here. As far as our smoke pattern, you can see on satellite, here it is, going in that easterly fashion, spreading throughout the valley. And that's the pattern that's going to stay in place again for tonight. Some of the thickest smoke, though, happen to be over towards the coast. You want to talk about smoke? Look at that picture right there. That's from our own reporter, Giacomo Luca. He's been on the scene all day, reporting live for us and getting pictures of just what's happening on the scene at this time and throughout the day. Let's see. Scott saying it was a very smoky commute from San Jose to the valley this afternoon. And yeah, Greg, absolutely. God bless our firefighters. Giacomo just happened to walk right by. Giacomo, thank you for the picture there. I'm just doing a Facebook Live. You want to just
Chime in a little bit?
chime in? So Giacomo is just returning right now from the fire. Well, he's still smiling at
And
least.
smoky.
Right.
Smell smoky. You guys can't smell
Okay,
that,
when you
but-
took this picture right here, and I want to show folks that picture again. What was going on when you were driving up to that?
So that was like about 2 miles south of Paradise.
Okay. Okay.
So and I'm looking into some flames. You can see just over on the ridge. There's a couple of really big hot spots, 20, 30-foot flames.
Okay.
And it like turned dark. I mean, it was like a midnight effect that I haven't really seen before as you got under the clouds. And Mike Garza, one of our photojournalists, who
You
was
weren't with
a little
Mike,
bit,
though,
no,
right?
I was in a different area.
Okay.
So it was dark there, but I mean, where Mike went, I mean, it was like nighttime.
Right. Right.
It's insane. It's something that I've not seen before.
And so I wanted to find out, where did you end up when you got there? Were you covering evacuations? Were you covering just the conditions there?
A couple of things. I went to the American Red Cross shelter.
Okay.
Which
In Oroville or Chico?
In Oroville.
Okay.
And there's 3 now. There's one in Oroville, one in Chico, and one in Gridley.
Okay.
At the fairgrounds in Gridley. And so we went to the shelter, we talked to some folks, and then people were worried about their houses. So we went up the hill, and we were on Pence Road then.
Yeah, okay.
And then we went up a little bit more, and we kind of got cut off by the fire, so we couldn't really get into Paradise because the fire had wound up jumping the road.
Okay, now did you see any homes that had already burned?
No,
Okay.
but one of the
'Cause you
houses
didn't go that
actually,
far.
well, one of the houses that we got right up to, I might be able to pull it up. We were watching some fire move down a hill.
Yeah.
And then up the hill and towards a house, and it definitely took it because we got out of it.
Really?
It was pretty frightening.
Okay, one of the things that I'm curious about, because I haven't spent a whole lot of time up there, but I certainly can look at the topography, meaning like what does it look like with ridges and canyons and mountainous areas. What did it look like over there as far as deep canyons and the firefighting conditions that they were heading into?
It's just a lot of up and down.
Okay.
You know, lots of hills. I mean, some of these houses are literally, if you could you could just imagine like houses being built here, houses being built here right underneath them. So it's a lot of hairpin turns, it's a lot of ridges, it's a lot of really tough conditions to get bulldozers in. And when I was talking about that house where we saw kind of fire up on a hill and then it was moving slowly down and then the wind blew it back up, we saw bulldozers trying to make a line and they couldn't work fast enough.
So it just completely took it over.
Yeah, it's wild.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I know it's been a long day for you. Thank you for that update from your day there. Again, we've got a number of reporters on the scene for tonight. LNT at 11, we're going to have the latest then, and obviously keep you up to date overnight through early tomorrow morning. Thank you so much for all of us, for all of you stopping in to this Facebook Live. I just saw a couple of questions. Oh, Greg wanting to know what direction is this beast heading, or is it still basically forest area? Well, new evacuations continue to be put up, and it's getting closer and closer to Chico, but Chico is still okay. We've got a couple of evacuation centers open there, so I know that firefighters are working very hard to keep it from highly populated areas. Don't want to have another situation like the Carr fire, or certainly in Santa Rosa last year, where it's just massive destruction because of so many homes being taken over. Unfortunately, we've already lost so much in Paradise, which lovely town there. So I think that's it. I think I've answered everybody's questions there. Again, thank you for stopping by for the update. We'll get you the latest on LNT, that hashtag late news tonight at 11. All right. Take care, everyone.